A single light flickers in the rain. A phone vibrates on a cracked table. No one answers. A whisper cuts through the dark. We said we wouldn't talk about that night. The rain grows louder. The heartbeat does too. Somewhere, a door begins to close. Night eats the sky as the city hums under a storm. We do not see faces, only the language of hands, shoulders, and breath. A trembling hand reaches for a key that glints on cold metal. The key hesitates in midair, then pulls back as thunder rolls, a window rattles. Neon light swims across wet pavement, turning puddles into shifting pools of red and blue. A phone on a cracked table vibrates, skittering toward the edge with each buzz like it wants to escape. No one claims it. Not yet. In the distance, sirens swell, then sink, then vanish, as if they, too, are afraid to come closer. A diary lies open to a torn page. Ash clings to the torn edge, a memory still warm. The page reads 3 words written in a rush. It was us. The ink has bled into the paper from a tear or the rain or both. A door waits at the end of a narrow hall. The handle is smooth, worn by the past. We watch it, hear a slow inhale, and feel that breath land on our own skin like a warning. The light above the door flickers on, off, on again like a blinking eye trying to stay awake. In the half-lit hall, 2 shadows cross without touching. One carries the weight of a secret. The other carries the price. A match flares in the dark. A small, shaking sun. It finds a photograph pinned to the wall. We do not see the faces, only a hand with a thin scar, a silver bracelet, a sleeve stained with something faint and brown. The match burns low. Fingers pinch it out. Smoke loops upward in soft rings, a lullaby for guilt. A distant bell chimes midnight, drops thud from a roof edge to a metal drum. Slow, slower. Stop. The storm pauses to listen. Somewhere, a door creaks open a fraction, then stalls. Somewhere else, a drawer slides with a soft groan and stops on a hidden box wrapped in black tape. The box is small enough to hide in a pocket, but heavy enough to sink a heart. The tape peels with a long, sticky sigh. Inside there is a ring, a flash drive, and a charm from a keychain, broken in half. The ring rolls toward the edge of the table, spins, and falls into a waiting palm. The palm closes. A whisper travels the hall. We said we wouldn't talk about that night. The whisper is not a threat yet, but it wants to be. The phone trembles again, lit with an unknown number, and for a beat the room seems to hold its breath. A gloved finger hovers over the answer icon, then taps decline. The buzz stops. The silence is worse. We hear a soft scuff of shoes on concrete one step, then another like someone practicing how to leave. A red digital clock blinks 0 o'clock, stuck, as if time refuses to move forward until someone tells the truth. A pen rolls across the diaries. Spine and drops to the floor. The sound is tiny, but in this still night it is thunder. Footsteps halt. A soft click, the safety on a small gun, or the lock of a small drawer, or the hinge of a small lie. Either way, something is ready. Outside, headlights sweep the window and crawl across the ceiling in pale beams, turning the room into a moving cage. A shadow pauses in the doorway, listening to the rain, to the clock that won't count, to the ghost of the match smoke fading into the dark. The shadow's chest rises and falls, fast, then steadies. They place the ring on the diary, beside. The words, "It was us," the metal cold against the ink. The flash drive turns between 2 fingers. A choice turns with it. A memory presses its face to the glass from the other side of the window and fogs the pane with a single word. Fault. The window fog clears. The word is gone, but we felt it. Beyond the hall, a stairwell breathes. A stair groans under a new weight. Another shadow climbs, step by step, carrying rain in their coat and the night in their hair. We don't see who they are. We only feel what they bring, a reckoning. The phone lights again, not with a call, but with a short, sharp text. Open the door. For a long second, nothing moves. Then the handle turns not by choice, but by gravity or fate or both, and the door inches inward. The storm exhales. The city listens. In the thin space between the door and the frame, the past slips its hand through and finds us. The rain does not stop. It presses against the glass like it wants to come inside, like it knows what waits behind the walls. In the blur of neon and thunder, two figures stand apart, shadows drawn sharp against opposite sides of the same room. They never meet eyes because we never see their eyes, but we feel the pull between them, an invisible rope stretched tight, ready to snap. One hand trembles as it grips a glass, water sloshing over the rim. The other hand tightens into a fist, nails biting skin, red half-moons blooming in the palm. Their silence is not empty. It is loaded like a chamber waiting for the trigger. Ah. Car engine roars outside, then cuts. The echo bounces off wet walls. Tires hiss as they stop too close. Someone has arrived, or someone has been waiting. We cannot tell which is worse. The figures remain still, only the small gestures betraying the storm inside them. A thumb tracing a scar across the wrist, a jaw clenching so hard it might shatter. In the corner of the room, a single photograph lies face down. The back of it is warped with water damage, the ink smudged, but it clings to the floor like it belongs here, like it has seen everything before. The air smells of ash and secrets. Somewhere a match was struck, somewhere something was burned, but not everything. A diary half-closed waits on the desk, the words "do not tell" etched across the margin in hurried, uneven lines. A flash of lightning lights up the spine of the book. The shadow closest to it stares, or maybe dares, but does not touch. The other shadow, across the room, taps a rhythm against the wall 1, 2, 3 like a code, like a memory, like the only language they have left that isn't broken. Love was supposed to bind them. Once, they moved through the same world with the same hunger, the same fire. Once, laughter filled these walls instead of silence. Once, a promise was enough to protect them. But love has shifted, twisted into something jagged. It does not hold them together now. It cuts them, leaving wounds that do not bleed but do not heal. We can see it in the way the glass shakes, in the way the hand refuses to unclench, in the way they stand near enough to feel the other's shadow, but not near enough to feel the other's warmth. Outside. Thunder growls again. A knock, sudden, sharp, 3 strikes on the door. Both shadows freeze. Neither moves forward. The knock is not repeated. Instead, a phone screen glows once more. A message burns across it. Choose? The word feels heavier than it should. Heavier than the night itself. It is not a question. It is not advice, it is a demand, and the demand is not new. It has been echoing between them for years, though unspoken, though buried beneath stolen kisses and lies told too sweetly. Now it sits between them in plain light. Written in stark white against a black screen, the gloved hand reaches for the phone, stops, the fist softens but only slightly, enough to show hesitation, enough to betray weakness. Neither claims the message, yet both feel owned by it. The storm pushes harder against the glass. The silence between them thickens, filling the room until even the ticking of a clock would be mercy. Conflict lingers in the smallest of details. The scar on the bracelet, the ring lying cold on the diary, the drawer left open with nothing inside. Someone has already taken what was hidden. Someone knows. Trust what little was left crumbles under the weight of that fact. And in the way their shadows falter, we see it clearly. One is ready to fight to protect the truth. The other is ready to destroy to keep it buried. The wind howls through a crack in the window, carrying the scent of gasoline. A lighter flicks somewhere unseen. Not flame, not yet, just the cruel tease of what could be. The photograph flips over as the draft catches it. Faces are still hidden, blurred beyond recognition, but the pose tells enough. 2 people close. 2 close, bound not by blood, but by something heavier. Something darker. 1 figure steps forward. Just one slow move. The sound of the shoe dragging like it doesn't want to. The other steps back at the same pace, like a mirror in reverse. They are tied and yet tearing apart. The invisible rope between them frays further with every breath. The camera of the faceless night pulls tighter. Only their hands remain in frame, one clutching the lighter, one gripping the diary. A single sentence hangs in the air, silent but deafening. If you tell, we both fall. If you hide, we both burn. The storm waits for their answer. And so do we. Asterisk, the night does not breathe. Anymore, it claws. Every sound is sharper now. The drip of rain through a broken gutter, the scrape of metal against wood, the uneven beat of a heart trying to stay steady in a world that refuses calm. The storm outside becomes a mirror of the storm inside, and both shadows in the room know they are running out of time. The lighter flicks again. This time, the flame holds. It bends and shivers in the draft, a tiny sun in the dark, fragile yet dangerous. The hand that carries it trembles not from fear, but from the weight of choice. Across the room, the diary lies open, the words bleeding into each other as if the rain had slipped in and tried to erase the past. But some words cannot be erased. Some words cling. The words we see now, we are guilty, stare back like eyes. Suddenly the silence breaks. Not with a voice, not with words, but with the sound of glass shattering somewhere unseen. The figures flinch in unison like hunted animals. The sound echoes down the hall. Into the walls, into their bones, someone is here, or maybe someone never left. Shadows twist against the walls as headlights sweep across the window again, but this time they do not pass. They stop, a car door slams, another, footsteps on gravel. Slow, deliberate, counting each second like a knife scraping against stone, the two figures move differently now. One reaches for the ring on the diary, snatching it with a hand too fast, too greedy. The other grips the flash drive, holding it. Like a weapon, though, is nothing more than truth trapped in silence. Their movements are jagged, desperate, no longer bound by hesitation but by survival. The flame flickers closer to the diary, threatening to consume the last fragile piece of memory. Then, the door rattles. Not a knock this time, but pressure. A test. Someone outside leans against it. The handle twists slightly, as if fingers curl. Around it with casual curiosity, both figures freeze again. Their shadows stretch long and thin, overlapping across the floor until they blur together. For a heartbeat, they look as if they are one secret, one sin, one mistake. Then the handle stills. The storm fills the silence. A phone buzzes once more. The same number, the same demand. But this time the message is different. Decide before I do. The lighter clicks shut. Darkness rushes back in. The figure holding it hides it in a pocket, as though fire itself can be buried. The other clutches. The flash drive tighter, thumb pressing against it hard enough to bend plastic. Both know what the message means. If they do not choose, someone else already has. Footsteps climb the stairs. Each creak of wood is louder than thunder. Each step closer makes the air heavier, like the walls themselves are bracing for what is to come. The figures move. Not together, not apart. Circling, one near the window, one near the door. Their silence is broken only by their breaths, fast, ragged, uneven. A dance of mistrust, a ritual of fear. The diary suddenly snaps shut under a heavy hand. Dust lifts from its pages. The hand presses hard enough to leave a print on the leather cover, as if sealing it could seal the truth. The other shadow reacts. Instantly, stepping forward, shoulders rigid, fists clenched. The flash drive gleams faintly in their grip, a silent standoff. Neither willing to speak because words would be confession and confession would be surrender, then an explosion of light. The window bursts inward as a branch, torn by the storm, crashes through. Shards scatter across the floor, catching the light like stars. Both shadows stumble, caught in the sudden violence. The flame returns, lit in panic, and the diary catches. A spark, it smolders, blackening from the corner inward. The words begin to curl and vanish. One figure slams it shut, smothering the fire with bare hands. Smoke rises, curling like a ghost in the air. The smell of burnt truth fills the room. The footsteps outside stop at the landing. Silence again, heavy, unbearable. Then a knock on the window frame soft, deliberate, too calm. Whoever is out there is not in a hurry. They know time is theirs. Inside. The figure's hands shake, but not in the same rhythm. One trembles with fear, the other trembles with anger. Both trembles mean the same thing, collapse. The phone lights one last time. The screen shows a countdown now, glowing red numbers ticking. Down from 10, neither reaches for it. Both only stare. Each second feels like a year. 9, 8. The lighter flicks open again. 7. The flash drive raises higher, like a blade. 6. The diary lies between them, burned at the edges, alive at the center. 5. Outside. Another knock. For the storm screams louder, as though it knows the end is near. 3. The shadows edge closer, pulled by the weight of the moment. 2. Breath catches. 1. The screen goes black. The storm stops, and the door flies open. Asterisk, the door does not swing it. Explodes. The impact rattles the walls, the lock splinters and dust, shudders down from the ceiling like ash from a dying fire. For a moment, there is no sound but the echo of wood striking plaster, then the room inhales sharply as if it has been holding its breath for hours. The storm outside surges in through the open frame, wind tearing at the curtains, rain spraying across the floor like shattered glass. Shadows scatter in every direction, long and violent, twisting across the walls like fleeing ghosts. Both figures recoil, but in different ways. One presses back into the corner, clutching the diary tight against their chest, their hands smeared with ashen ink. The other grips the flash drive with fingers locked in defiance, the small object gleaming under the strike of lightning. Fragile yet powerful, the whole truth condensed into plastic. Neither speaks, but their silence is no longer hesitation. It is the silence of two storms crashing inside the same room, waiting for who will break first. Footsteps enter, slow, calm, purposeful. The third presence is not a shadow. It is heavier, more defined, but still faceless, still unknown. A black coat drips rain onto the wooden floor, leaving marks like wounds. A hand, gloved and steady, trails along the wall as though reading the house by touch. The figures do not move. They cannot. They are prey caught in a moment between fear and fight, aware that whatever they do now will stain them forever. The stranger stops in the center of the room. The storm hushes for half a second, as if the night itself respects their arrival. No words, no voice. Only the sound of water dripping from the coat, tapping the floor in a cruel rhythm. Then the stranger raises a hand and points not at the diary, not at the flash drive, but at both. The meaning is clear. There will be no choosing. Both are claimed. Both are fault. Suddenly the phone lights again, sliding across the floor from where it had fallen. The screen glows with two words. It's time. The countdown is gone. Only those words remain, pulsing like a heartbeat. One figure lunges forward, snatching the phone, clutching it like a lifeline. The other reacts, slamming their hand down on the diary, yanking it back from the table. The lighter sparks, ignites. Fire leaps again, licking at the edges of the paper, hungrier this time. Smoke blooms fast, choking the air, crawling up the walls. The stranger does not stop them, does not move, only watches. Their stillness is worse than violence, more terrifying than a strike. They let the fire spread, as though this is part of the plan, as though the room must burn for the truth to surface. The figures clash at last. Hands collide, grabbing, tearing. The diary rips at the spine, pages flying loose, twisting in the wind, burning as they rise like blackened birds. The flash drive slips, slides across the floor, spins beneath the stranger's foot. They pin it without effort. The fight rages, silent but brutal slaps of skin, the crack of wood as a chair tips, the clatter of glass breaking again. They are not lovers now, not allies, not even enemies. They are animals, desperate to escape the cage of their own secret. The storm outside answers with fury. Lightning bursts so bright it blinds the room in white. In that flash, we see it, two shadows tangled together, struggling, choking on smoke, slipping in water. The stranger stands untouched, steady, unshaken, as if carved from stone. The fire reaches the curtains. Flames race upward, devouring fabric, painting the walls with red fury. The room is alive with chaos, but still, the diary burns, still, the flash drive gleams beneath the boot. And still, the phone buzzes with the same merciless message. It's time. One figure collapses to their knees, coughing, clutching their chest. The other staggers, face hidden in shadow, but their stance is rigid, determined, ready to finish what was started long ago. The stranger finally moves. They bend down, pick up the flash drive, and slip it into their coat pocket. The choice has been made for them. The flames roar higher. Smoke thickens. The diary, reduced to ashes, drifts away piece by piece. Only fragments of words remain visible as they rise. Ours guilt, fault. They scatter into the storm, carried off by wind, dissolved into the night. The stranger turns, walking back through the open door as calmly as they arrived. The storm swallows them whole. The figures remain behind, choking in the fire, trapped in their silence. Neither speaks, neither screams. They simply stare at each other across the inferno, shadows blurred, outlines broken dot, and then dash black dot silence dot from the void. A voice whispers, not loud, not sharp, but steady, echoing like it comes from inside. The viewer's own chest. Our story, our mistake, our fault. The words fade into darkness, dot, and at last, the screen burns white with the title, Our Fault, Culpa Nuestra official trailer. An ETFLIX, the sound of a final heartbeat thunders once. Then vanishes. The screen cuts to silence.